Dude, and we're in here. Joe Tyler, Joe the Show's GODcast, episode 20. Andrew McDowell, how are you?
Doing well today. How about yourself, man?
Not too bad. Yeah, man, we're like new friends on social media. We've obviously known of each other for a while.
From the
But you hit me up, like, yo, dude, you got a podcast? Like, here's what I'm currently going through. It would be super dope to talk about it. Not just because, like, it's something you're going through. That'd be super selfish.
Right.
And I would never bring anyone on my show to talk about something that they want to talk about.
Right.
But it's something I've alluded to for a while. Like, I don't keep it a secret. Like, I used to be, well, I'm still an addict. I used to be a drug addict. So, and I've had that experience of not only, like, being that, you know, shitball, but also, like, that scared person just trying to run from fucking feelings. I've also been that, you know, person throwing shit at the walls and fucking rehab, man. It's a lot. But what I want to start off, you know, just getting your perspective on all of this, and let's knock that off, is when people say sober, like, what do you think? And not in terms of, like, the question is, what does sobriety mean to you? But not, what is your sobriety? When people say sober, like, what is your baseline for what they could mean?
Yeah, so for that, like, when someone says, like, hey, I'm sober, I really feel like it's definitely, like, a concept of, like, one's own perspective and individuality. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for that person, it might just mean that they refrain from all substances, and you know what I mean? Like, they're just drug-free or alcohol-free. For other people, when they say that they're sober, it might mean that they're, you know, going to 12-step meetings, they have a sponsor, a home group doing, you know, commitment,
Yeah.
you know, working, living amends, and all that stuff. But, you know, like, for me, bringing on me, it's like, I can't just remove the drug because, you know, like they say, like, I do that and then I'm, like, left with myself, you know what I mean?
My favorite one, just to harp on that, is no matter where you go, there you'll be.
Mm-hmm. I bring me with me, you know what I mean? Like, when I tried to get sobriety, get it right, like...
So removing the drugs is not being sober, but, like, then you can focus on sobriety now that the drugs are removed.
It's definitely a full lifestyle. It's not just, like, one aspect of your life, you know what I mean? Because, like, people get it twisted. Like, when you were using, it ruled all aspects of your life. It ruled, like, your home life, your family life, your sex life, your work life, like everything. It entails everything.
Dude, nothing's worse than dope dick.
No, it's the worst. I don't wish that on anyone, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you can't even give an excuse like, oh, sorry, my dick doesn't work. I'm on dope.
Right.
It's like, oh, I understand. Like, no.
I was thinking, like,
strike two.
Right, strike. Like, these countless times, like, in treatment, like, I just remember thinking to myself, like, on, like, day 3 and shit, like, just dope sick, curl up in a ball, and I'd be like, dude, like, if Kylie and Kendall Jenner came in my room, like, I'm gonna have to walk into the door. Like,
yeah,
it ain't gonna be working, bro.
Sorry, ladies.
Right.
I can't do that with
Time
you.
out. It's crazy. It's definitely a crazy thing, man. It's crazy.
Well, your life changes, you know, and
Sure.
you know, just to start the whole chronology of it all. It's not like, you know, and I said it before, your first bender and your first stint in rehab is not where addiction, you know, started.
No.
And all the problems you have in your addiction and afterwards are not problems that you necessarily developed during addiction. It all comes from beforehand. You know, insecurities, you know, who you not mold your mind, but who ended up molding your mind.
Right.
Where you live. It all has like a really big part of all this. But you were harping on before just how you felt as a kid in terms of, you know, what, like, where this feeling of, like, I need to fill a void came from.
So, like, I remember, like, my earliest memories, and, like, don't get me wrong, like, dude, like, I was loved. I never went without, you know what I mean? I went to Catholic grade school, Catholic high school, always, you know, played sports. I never missed a meal as a kid. But a lot of my earliest memories, like, it was just chaotic, you know? My mother had me senior year at Hallahan at 17. I was raised by my maternal grandparents. And my mom was on her shit, you know, going to nursing school and all that good stuff, and, like, trying to set up a good future for us. And I just remember living with, you know, my 3 aunts, one which suffers from schizophrenia, and my grandparents and my mother in the 3-bedroom row home, and it was kind of crowded. And I just remember, like, my dad not being around. I remember, like, it was just chaotic, you know, like, it was a loving home, but it was kind of, it was just like chaos, you know. I feel like I saw a lot as a kid, and then I remember, you know, not understanding why a lot of my, because, you know, Roxborough, it's a good middle class area. A lot of my friends that I grew up with, they had, you know, both parents around and shit. And I just remember being like, you know, what's up with this? This is weird. So I just, from an early age, I was like, what the I just felt a little distant.
The life you were living wasn't necessarily matching up with the lives of everyone in your neighborhood.
Exactly. And then, like, dude, like, I remember, like, when my dad would say, hey, I'm coming to pick you up on Saturday. I remember waiting in that windowsill on Carden Road where my grandparents lived. Like, you know, if he said I'd be there at 12, be there at 11, like, excited because he'd take me dirt bike riding and fishing, like, all this cool shit. Like, my dad is a very cool guy. You know, he's young. He's, like, you know what I mean? And he just was never particularly, say, like, a good father, you know? And I remember waiting for hours and him just never showing up. And, like, looking back on it, that was one of the biggest resentments I harbored, and probably one of the, you know, things that drove me to experiment with drugs and alcohol at such an early age. But, like, looking back on it, like, because we're selfish, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm no exception to that. It hurt my mom just as much, or maybe even more.
Before we move on to that, like, just for the people who aren't associated necessarily with, you know, the whys of it all, your father not being around isn't just, you know, why doesn't someone love me type thing. And, you know, it gets to you in not just that way, like what's wrong with me to where like my dad wouldn't be around, but it's also, you open your mind up to like, wait, what kind of how many other people aren't hitting the mark on where they should be? Like, what are the standards we hold to other people? And if you can't hold your father to a high standard, and that's just this speculation, because like I said, we never had this conversation before. Right. If you can't hold your father or a father figure to a higher standard, then what kind of standard do you end up allowing you to hold yourself to?
Right. I mean, honestly, very low one. I didn't really have standards, you know. Like, I did the whole sports things at an early age. That did for me what, like, drugs and alcohol did. But I just remember, like, being, like, 10 years old, my mom, like, what do you want to be? And I'd be like, I don't know. I remember saying this, like, I don't know, like, nothing. Like, I never had that, like, pure drive to, like, go out and do stuff, you know. It was kind of always, like, you know, like, just skate by. Like,
you didn't need to. You've seen other people do it. Minimum, bro.
Exactly. You know, like, I remember in school, I was like a straight B student. If I applied myself and didn't sleep and didn't have a drug habit, I would have done a lot better. I would have excelled. You know, when the time came to apply to colleges and schools and shit, I was just like, fuck it, you know what I mean? I got sucked into the neighborhood. I'd see the guys at the playground and back to woods partying, and like that was my life.
That's more appealing than going to fucking college.
Yeah.
You know what I've realized later?
College on the weekend.
Is that the same kids that were in the fucking woods partying with me, in their head they knew, like, this isn't forever.
Right.
There's a couple more months of this, and then we're living adult life.
Exactly.
But to us, it's just like, no, we're doing this because this is just the most appealing, and what's going to stop this from being appealing?
Exactly.
Nothing really.
Exactly. I just remember, like, you know, the first time I smoked weed, the first time I smoked weed, 8th grade summer, I didn't have that, like, oh, this is the best thing ever. You know, it was fun as shit. Yeah. And then, you know, the first time I started drinking was also 8th grade during the school year, you know what I mean? We'd buy some like a case of beer. We'd have some homeless dude buy us beer. I'll never forget him, bro. I used to be at Hillside all the time. But, you know, the beers turned into pills, and the pills turned into, you know what I mean, like harder drugs. And
so let's backtrack, because we're obviously going to get into harder drugs.
Yeah.
Both going to talk about it. But you started touching on, I mean, obviously, like, you were a handful as a kid, if that's where you were focused, is like, let's get fucked up in the woods and shit. But you were saying before how the absence of your father did affect you, but it probably far more affected your mother, who at this point was trying to do the best she could with you and herself. It just seems like there's a little boy at home who's like, fuck, man, like...
She's an all-star, man. So it's like this. So I never wanted to admit that I probably had the resentment against my father, or even my mother, too, for having me at such a young age. But I kind of flipped it. I remember being 15, coming home from school, right, after, like, soccer season or whatever, and, like, I would be like, hey, Mom, like, what are you doing tonight? Like, what days you working this week? Because she works nights, you know what I mean, down Penn as a nurse. And those nights that she worked, like, oh, I worked Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week. I knew it was game time because she works 7 p to 7 a. So and like I said, bro, like it's all on me because I had a good front, man. I had the good grades. I never really missed class. I wasn't, getting arrested at this point.
So you hanging out with your friends at night wasn't like a weird thing because, hey, he's taking care of himself during the day.
Exactly. So, like, and my stepdad, shout out Kevin, he's the best. You know what I mean? For real. He really...
See, all my stepdad does is fucking wrestle with my mom and makes me uncomfortable.
My stepdad, I love him, man. He's one of the people in my family that never gave up hope. Not saying they gave up hope, but he always saw the bright side of things. But to backtrack, what I was getting at is I knew, like, oh, dude, it's not so bad having parents split up because it's less accountability. I can come home, take my little nap, hit up one of my friends. Yeah, you trying to go have on a case or whatever, and this is, And
you'll find someone, yeah.
Yeah, and hanging out at Coquissahicken, spending a lot of time in Northern Homes, date wherever it may be. And I remember...
Which for the kids watching, like if there's a place to drink, it's at a playground. They're not going to think you're there doing drugs or alcohol.
Right.
Kids are supposed to be at a playground.
Right.
There, you're welcome.
I remember like in the mix too, like I said, it's the progression of this shit. Like freshman year of high school, like I got introduced to like the 30s, and at that point, I didn't have the means to do it, bro. Backtrack. This is almost a decade ago, which is crazy to think. I'm getting old. It's fucking crazy.
We just talked about it, yeah.
Still, they were like $20 a pop. I didn't fucking even have a job. You know what I mean? I'd save up my little fucking lunch money that my grandma would bless me with, right? The manipulation. It's all tied.
By Thursday, you're like, I can get a fucking 30. Let's go.
It's game time, and it was kind of like my friends. They knew something was up, you know what I mean? It was just clear and obvious because I was always the broke friend, always. Even when I had a job, bro, it was crazy. When payday would come, I'd be negative money from overdrafting. But like I said, there was a lot of benzos in the mix before I really got hooked on to the oxys and opiates and all that. But like I said, man, like there were
What made
signs.
you want to try a fucking oxy,
So like it's funny because the dude who I got introduced to it.
Well, before that, it was just weed and alcohol, right?
It was weed and alcohol till freshman year of high school, and like I said, it was an experiment. Like it was like fuck, like something to kill the time, and like I was scared, but I remember him saying this. He was like, bro, like, because I was scared as fuck, He found out, that I knew someone with like 5s at the time. I was like 15, and I did a little middleman. I got him, and he's like, "You want to try a little bit of this?" And
it's here.
I was scared. I was so scared. I remember there was the throwback with the hose clamp, all that. And I was like, "This is fucking crazy. Whatever, I'll try it." And I remember, I know my mom says this too. She's like, "I take Percocets. I throw up and go to sleep. I don't know how you like it." So a lot of people have the averse reaction of either throwing up or they love it.
Which, good for them,
Good for them. My thing was a little bit of both. I remember doing like a little line and like I immediately threw up everywhere out of my friend's car. And, I sat back and probably smoked about 7 Newport 100s and was like, I remember saying to myself, like, yo, like this is the best feeling ever. I want to be like this all the time. This turns my brain off. This makes me just like feel it like peace and okay. I remember saying like, yo, this is better than sex, bro. Like this is the best. This is the best thing ever. There's nothing going to be better. And like for a while, like that's what drove me. I'd always tell my friends when they'd find out or like past relationships with people because girls always freak out when they find out their other is a drug addict.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they don't take that well. I'd be like, you can't even, I'd try to justify. You can't even judge me. You've never even done it. It's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, you should try it. We should try it right now.
Yeah, we should. It's so sick.
Just so you have an idea of how bad I hurt.
Right, right. And like for a while, bro, like that was my coping mechanism, like for anything. And like it didn't matter if I was in a bad mood, a good mood. Like if I was in a bad mood, it'd make me level. If I was in an okay mood, it'd bring me up. If I was having a great day, it'd make me have the best day.
There's always a reason for it. Like I doubt we all wake up and like need a cup of coffee, but you know what? Like no matter how we're feeling, it makes us feel different. Like it's a little bit of a routine too.
But like I'll say this too, like, and this is like the progression they talk about, like me taking my first line of oxycodone, oxycontin, whatever. I didn't think that, I'd be selling all my possessions, pawning everything, losing jobs, overdosing, getting locked up, going to treatment in 3 different states about 9 or so times, losing significant others, straining all relationships, not being able to hold a fucking job down for more than a month, and ended up down the way at Somerset and Kensington fucking poking myself multiple times a day just to not be sick, you know what I mean? And it's
if only that could be that little flash forward, like the first time you do, fuck, do I want to go there? I'll figure it out.
Right. It wasn't on my agenda to.
But what else? What did you think was going to happen? Because you told me before that you used to drive by on the bus and see motherfuckers out there hurting and be like, I'll never be you. And then here you are taking the first step up that flight of stairs that leads to where the fuck they're ODing and shit, and you're like, well.
So for me, I always had the identity or portrayed the identity McDowell's crazy. He's always down for a good time. So I honestly thought that it was just innocent. This is a good time. This is an enhancer. Drink a 12-pack, throw in a little 30. You know what I mean?
So it's an identity thing.
Yeah, and I kind of took to it, because for a while I didn't have the consequences, bro. You know what I mean? And I can still tell you where I was at when I first found out oh shit, this is a problem. I remember my first job ever was at the Fanatic Fun Zone at the Philly Stadium. Yeah, I was 17. I was a junior, and this dude, it's crazy, man. I gravitate towards people that are just like me. It's insane.
They're sick, yeah.
Yeah. This dude, he was probably 30 or so, was messing with the 30s, and I just remember he would middleman for me and shit like that. And this is before it was 7 days a week. It was starting to get there, 4 days a week and shit. And I just remember being at work one day and I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, my legs, bro. I didn't even have practice today, dude. I feel like I ran 20 miles. And dude, I get these twitches. I'm cold. Yeah. Bro, I don't feel good, dude. My stomach's been wet the last day. And he looked at me because at this point we're kind of copping together and stuff. He's like, yo, sit down. I'm like, what's up? And he's been through this, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's like, McDowell. He's like, did you get high today? I was like, well, I mean, yeah, I smoked. He's like, did you do it, John? And I was like, it's like, no, why? What's? He's like, bro, you're with John, bro. And that was when I first got introduced to the Suboxone, and that was that's a whole evil on its own. You know what I mean? I'm not against maintenance programs. If that's keeping you from putting a needle on your arm, go ahead. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, that was just a crutch for me to, from that point on, it was subs during the week and, the Johns Friday and Saturday when I'm paid. And that allowed me to stay out longer, you know what I mean? Because it stretched my money, but it only made me sicker. It only made the inevitable was going to happen, you know what I mean? I was on that dark road, and it's crazy. Like I said, I didn't even see it coming, bro. It's just crazy, you know what I mean? Everyone tells you, because I had good friends, you know what I mean? I'll never forget it. My grandmom, I love my mom. She's awesome. She's one of the biggest support systems. She texts me all the time. She's so funny. She's on Facebook. You know what I mean? She's modern grandma. It's so funny. And she'd be like, you need to hang around with good people. You know what I mean? It's probably your friends doing this. And it's I told her straight up. I'm
that friend. What do you mean?
I told her straight up. I was my friends are awesome. My friends don't do drugs, you know what I mean? I'd have to beg them to do coke with me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Down CJ's yo, dude, I got some white, you ready to party? But I was the one saying yo, let's get this started, and
But how much of that was your identity too? Because I only know for me, through my experience, is that when I was younger, I tried really hard. At 10, 11, I told myself, build this personality, bro. If eyes are on you, you need to make it worth someone's time, or else they're not going to look a second time. So that was always in my head that when I'm in front of someone, I need to be something that they think about after the fact, and that's not fucking healthy. So you get to high school and that shit's around, or even if you find your way into it, nothing makes people go drugs.
Right.
So if you're somewhere, people aren't even doing drugs. You'll be hey, got these Jones. I'm about to do them if you want to.
Right.
It's you that's like, they're going to remember this.
Right.
That I'm the guy who was getting dummy high at that one fucking party. You know, no one's going to put that in my obituary.
Exactly.
He was really fun at that one party. Who knew?
And that's what people miss. But I'll talk about what you just said. Like, for me, I was, like, very open with the drug use as far as, like, you know, it's sad to say, but some things are more acceptable. I was very open with, you know, the coke use or even Xanax and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I only started hiding it with the opiates because, you know, people are like, oh, he's a scumbag, blah, 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 blah. We may do scummy things, but, like, your addiction hijacks you. Like, it's not a moral deficiency. You know what I mean? Like, once you're hooked, you know, these things you're doing, it's to get the next one. It's not personal.
I can agree with that, but it's almost like people say when you drink, you tell the truth and stuff like that. It kind of lowers the threshold for what you're really thinking when you're drunk. And I think the same goes for addicts, is that we have bad thoughts about bad things that we wish there weren't repercussions for, or that, like, views that we feel that, like, aren't necessarily, like, popular. Right. But then when we get high, or we're looking for a high, like, we get in that, you know, like, animalistic mode of, like, survive, that all the other shit goes away, and it's just what we're willing to do and not worrying about the justifications for it.
Exactly. Like, I can relate to that. Like, put it this way, like, in active addiction, dude, like, I was willing to go to, like, any lengths, like, crazy shit, you know what I mean, to get the next one. It's kind of like that in, like, recovery. Like, if I'm not that, you know, driven to get the next day clean, like, I'm gonna fuck up, you know, time and time again. Right. Like, it's crazy because, like, I'll have this for life, you know what I mean? Like, I remember Mom said, like, I'll have to deal with this and battle it for life, you know what I mean? But that's what I was talking about, like, the spiritual rent, like, paying it every day, like, you know, doing esteemable acts to raise my self-esteem so I could feel good without a drug. Because the longest time, like I said, the identity thing, like, I kind of accepted it. I was just like, fuck, like, this is who I am. Like, I'm a drug addict. Just because
you're an addict doesn't mean it wasn't good for a lot of it. Like, for a lot of the time, you accept that's who you are because it fucking works. You're not dead. You have a couple dollars in your pocket. You probably have a bed to go home to, and you're getting your dick sucked probably. Like, all those things mean life is fine. If I have a bed, food, and, like, you know, someone besides me is touching my dick, then I'm solid. But, like, you kind of learn that, like, shit. Like, there's, like, a whole planning aspect, but as an addict, you don't see 30, 40, 50 years old. You see, like, what's going to help me for tomorrow.
It's delusional. It's like the instant gratification, dude. Like, I didn't care. Dude, like, the next day wasn't even a thought. The next hour wasn't a thought. As long as I had a bag, dude, like, I'm cool. It's like, I feel like everything's all right. And, like, it's crazy to think because what that looks like is it's me this last time, you know, before I got clean. It was posted up in my grandma's basement, jobless, lying, friends not want to be around, stealing, literally living a double life, and it only progressed to
the scumbag you need to be.
Yeah.
And then once you're high, you can finally focus on, like, I'm not that bad.
Right.
Like,
I'm starting coming up with these crazy grand plans, but it's like, bro, like.
But then getting high is not even fun because, like, when you're high, you're thinking about the shit you had to do to get high.
Right. And then
makes you want to get high again.
It makes it's just stress, you know. And, like, I'd used a lot of shit for crutches, like, oh my god, like, I'm depressed, I'm this, I'm that. But, like, I'm not doing anything about it. I'm literally locking myself in my bedroom and just.
So what did you blame? Like, what was, like, because I know, like, you're sober now.
Yeah.
Like you say, you don't speak on the future because who knows what the future holds. And you know that in the past you've had sobriety before, not the best kind for you, obviously, but you've also been, like, deep into it. What's your excuse, like, when you go into these meetings sometimes? Like, so, because I know when you go into rehab, they make you attend group.
Right.
But, like, between that and I know, like, AA and NA meetings work for some people, you end up, like, trying to justify yourself. Like, I did this because. And not, I did this. Here's what I'm going to not do moving forward because fuck that. Right. Like, what do you tell people? Like, this is why I did it.
I mean, like, I guess I'll get into it. Like, a lot of my reasons, obviously, besides, like, the father, the family and all that, for me, like, you know, growing up in Roxborough, Manioc, you know, it's everyone's kind of, like, you know, pretty much Irish or Polish. And, like, I remember from an early age, man, like, I went to IHM. I remember from an early age, not that I felt huge differently, but, like, I felt, like, kind of distant almost because, like, put it this way. I remember standing in the mirror when I was 10 years old and being so self-conscious, being like, dude, like, I would literally go like this and be like, I wish my eyes didn't look like this. I resented the fact that I was ethnically Asian, and like it made me feel some type of way. Like, damn, like I was this skinny little Asian kid with an awkward bowl cut. You know what I mean? Like, just like goofy as shit. And I was like, fuck, like I hate myself. You know what I mean? And that was one of the reasons. And just like I said, I felt loved, but it's hard to put in words, man. I just always felt distant from my family, to be honest, which is crazy to think, because especially today, like, my mom always checks up on me, my godmother, my aunts, my cousins, my siblings, you know, they love me. It just took so much time for me to realize that, you know. And then like I said, my stepdad was fucking awesome. I think maybe, honestly, like diving into it, my mom had my siblings, which I'm so grateful for. They're awesome. When I was 9 or 10 or so, so like maybe the attention, you know, there wasn't too much spotlight on me, which is like selfish, you know what I mean?
But in your head at the time, like,
yeah, I was kind of running amok.
You wanted that.
It's exactly, I wanted it, but like looking back on it, I think that's why I kind of acted out. Some people act out with bullying others, some people act out with fighting, some people act out with whatever. My thing was I acted out by escaping reality, like seeking drugs. I never turned down trying anything. There's really not anything that I haven't tried.
You want to bang out a list real quick?
You
want to scare some people?
I mean, the only thing that I haven't done is like psychedelics, acid. I've never took acid. You know, I've done shrooms, but besides that, I mean, I tried everything. It was weird, dude. I even had a rehab stint for meth. Like, it's like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, it's weird.
How does that happen?
But you don't get a badge for each one you go in and say is your drug of choice.
Right.
Like, what's your drug of choice? Like, it was heroin last time. Like, I haven't been here for crack yet, so like,
right.
I'm really hoping that you let me get rehabilitated from crack here today.
And it's crazy because, like I said, like towards the end, dude, like I had like a low key crack habit. I didn't even realize it. You know what I mean? Like,
as you're doing crack, it's like, this might be well, how do you see? I don't even know. This is how you. I guess you would. With a lighter and stuff, because I can smoke a bowl, I can air bowl it,
right?
You know, but I can't air crack smoke yet.
I can't air crack smoke.
Right, it's like an air bassist picking up an air guitar and being like, oh no, it's this, yeah.
That's great.
But yeah, but I've never done crack. I've searched it out. And I've shared it with you, but I've never shared it with them. But like when I did, I stopped in Portland with the idea of let's find crack. And then I don't know if you've been explained the full scope of the idea, but so I had 2 layovers. One's in Portland for 6 hours. One was in Washington for 3 hours. In Portland, Oregon, crack's legal. You're not going to get arrested for it. So like, I guess the worst that would happen is the TSA would be like, get this the fuck out of here. Right. So I would do crack in Oregon, land in Washington, and in Washington there's something called mutual combat. So, like, if me and you were in Washington and I didn't like the fucking way you looked at me, and you're like, well, yeah, because I looked at you weird because I don't fucking like the way you looked at me.
You can start mixing,
boxing. As long as we agree.
For real?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Washington State,
yeah,
damn.
absolutely. So that was my idea, was to get crack from Oregon, which is legal, go to Washington and start a fight, which is legal.
Right. That's
so I would get high on crack, get in a fight, and it's all legal. Nothing to get arrested for. But, like, so getting to the point is that once I started getting into like the scenarios where like I probably could have gotten crack, I immediately no longer wanted to get crack.
Right, it's definitely not a good look hitting a stem,
right?
You know, in public.
But my question to you is like, how did you not know that you had developed a crack habit after having done crack? Like day one, I'd be like, whew, if I do this again, it's like fucking cookies, man.
It was like this, man, because with the opiates, I physically need that to get a shower, to brush my teeth. I need that to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
I need that to even just talk to anyone. For real, I became such a shelf person. So, like, I'll put it like this, like, the dope I needed, you know, the heroin, fentanyl, like, I needed that just to get up. Crack was kind of like, you know, if I had an extra couple dollars, it's like a little cheesecake at the end of your fucking filet dinner, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
I can imagine. I hear great things.
Right.
I hear great things.
If you want to become a liar, a cheater, a thief, anything. Yeah,
dude, which I constantly tell people, and even about me. I am a hypocrite. I'm a liar. I'm a thief. Like, I am these things every day.
Right.
Every day. I might not act on these things, you know, and I might, like, do my best over time to, like, not exhibit these habits. But I know when my threshold is lowered, if I'm in, like, active addiction and I'm, like, seeking out that fucking high, like, those things come to the forefront.
Right.
So, like, I become my worst attributes.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, my addiction would bring the worst qualities out of me. And, like, I was so twisted in the head. I was like, bro, like, I'm a better person on heroin. I'll give you an example. And this is, like, the insanity. I remember a few rehab stints ago, I was with this chick. Awesome girl, by the way. I really fucked that one up. So I come home from treatment, you know what I mean? And, you know, obviously I wasn't ready. I wasn't right. I was like, hey, I want to stop home to see my family before we hang out. You know what I mean? So when I go home, long story short, I'm back down in Indiana, doing what I do, getting what I get. And I go and see her, and I'm obviously high on heroin, and she's like, see, Andrew, like, this is the Andrew I like. Mind you, I just did a couple bags parked up.
Damn, she didn't even know that she did that.
No. So in my head, bro, I'm like, dude, like, see, like, yo, like, this, you're so much nicer on heroin. You're so much cooler. You're so much funner to be around. You're so much this. But in reality, bro, that high only lasts a few hours. And when I'm left with myself, bro, I'm such a miserable, depressed person.
Anybody know bubbling underneath that surface?
It's crazy.
Like, yeah, it is. And I don't understand why people just can't. Even if you haven't been an addict yourself, which, good for you. Like, that's amazing that you haven't had to go through that, or if, like, you haven't had a loved one who's an addict, like, you don't have to, like, face these things. But, like, as an addict, and as someone who's been around people who are close to them who are addicts, and, you know, you worry about them, family members and stuff, when you're in it, like, you really don't give a fuck.
Oh, dude.
About it all. Like, I know my parents, since day one, like, they might not have been happy about anything I've ever done, but if my health or happiness is in jeopardy, they're the first ones to be like, no, we're going to try to help fix this in their own way. Like, no one's perfect about with the way they go through stuff. But, like, I have, like, them, my brother and sister have been fucking amazing through everything that I've ever put them through. And even as soon as, like, 2 years ago, I didn't go to fucking rehab, but, like, I was having a little problem with alcohol, and it put me in a cop car once or twice.
Right.
Like, but even through all that, they're like, dude, we know who you actually are. And you just become, like, the worst version of who you are when you're doing these fucking things. And it is a mental game. But there are times where I'm just sitting there, like, I must have been, like, 23, 24. And my friends are like, dude, like, you got to think about your kids. I'm like, I love my kids. Fuck those kids, dude. Like, if having my kids was going to help, it would have helped.
I wish it did. Well, I don't have kids, luckily. But
that's the thing. People think, like, you have things to live for.
Right.
Sure, I do.
Right.
What's the other side of that? What do I think I'm running from? Exactly. How big is it really? And for people to downplay it and be like, oh, well, what do you mean? Like, you have a support system and you have things to live for. If you just stopped getting high, it's like, all right, if I stop getting high, like, I'm going to torture myself.
Right, dude. Like,
there has to be something in the middle where it's like, I definitely have to appreciate that monster in me.
Right.
And just not feed it.
Exactly. And like what you said for me, like, I'll say this too, like, I'm one of four, right? I broke in my mom, like, so quickly. Like, I remember, there were so many times, like, I remember, for real, like, there's not a phone call that she hasn't had. Like, I remember two things. One of the things, which is so crazy, I remember I used to be a heavy drinker too, you know, until I started needing the heroin and shit. But I remember being like 19 or 20 and, like, bleeding out my ass, and, like, I Googled it and I was like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, dude, do I have cancer or something?
Yeah, like,
and,
what
like,
the fuck?
I had stomach ulcers from fucking drinking at such a young age, probably with the oxys too. And my mom, they were just, like, in shock. They're like, how the fuck? They took me to the hospital, you know? I had the whole hemoglobin protein in your blood. I don't know.
You probably also weren't, like, taking care of yourself outside of that either.
No.
Like, if you're eating, like, a really great diet and just, like,
Right.
you know, just drink a lot, it takes longer. But as a 17-year-old who's, like, responsible for their own diet because you're out running the streets all day.
Right. It was like a liquid diet with a little bit of dust.
I don't know how you didn't expect to bleed out of your ass.
I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't even know that was, like, a scientific thing. And then the other funny thing is what I was thinking about. my mother, who just gave birth to my brother, I think it was my brother Christian or Caden at the time, I can't remember. It was Christian because it was like 5 years ago. I'm in West Virginia. It's probably like 5 a.m. My ride's leaving at like 8 a.m. Yeah. I end up in a hospital. I have this huge scar on my arm. I completely fucked myself. My blood alcohol level is like 0.40. I'm in surgery. My mom. I'm supposed to be showing up home the next morning. My mother just gave birth, bro. She literally just took home my brother maybe a week ago. She gets a phone call saying, I'm going to like immediate surgery. Long story short, bro, they took all my clothes and all that shit because my ride had to go back. I was with people who had like legit jobs to go back to on Monday. Like, they sent me money like a fucking train ticket with a layover in Baltimore. Like, it was the funniest thing ever. It wasn't funny at the time. But long story short,
retrospective.
Right. Sure. I remember I didn't have clothes besides the gown. All my shit they cut my shit open, bro. So literally, bro, it was the funniest thing ever. I wake up, I got the catheter in, I'm like, yo, this is fucked. I'm so hungover. You know, I'm starting to go through like opiate withdrawal. And I remember like thinking to myself, like, dude, like I really did it this time. I'm fucked. Like that was a terrible phone call with my parents to like just get home. I told them like, you know, I have a way home. I'm in the West Virginia University Hospital, right? About 6-hour drive. God knows how long on the bus. It was like 12 hours until I got to 11th and Filbert. They gave me, because I had no clothes, the donation box. Yeah. I had a fucking yellow tight-ass pants, like probably mediums. I'm 6 foot, you know what I mean? Mediums ain't fitting on these. With a yellow matching WVU hoodie. I looked like a smacked ass. My arm's in a fucking sling.
Like in Pulp Fiction when they have to get hosed down and they're just in dude's clothes.
Dude, so I'm in this sling. I don't have any not $1 on me. I have this train, or not a train, it was a bus ticket that's printed out. I have my phone that's on like 5% probably. No charger. They give me a little script for like maybe like Vicodin or whatever, so it kind of takes the edge off. And I just remember standing at that fucking bus stop on campus. By the way, shout out West Virginia, Morgantown. Good time.
Thanks for being a gracious host.
Burning the couches, it still blows my mind. But anyway, I remember my bus wasn't until like 6 at night, bro. And it's like I got discharged at like 10 a.m. I'm in a fucking sling. I have the script and I'm in this nut-ass tracksuit that doesn't fit. It's like cold. I'm miserable. I'm scared. My mom's pissed at me. And I remember this homeless dude, like, I just get to talking with him. Long story short, I remember just giving him some of the pills. And he went and bought me a couple 40s, and we're sitting there. This is the scene that I'm trying to picture in your head. Sitting there in a yellow fucking tracksuit. I don't go to college, let alone the University of West Virginia, right? In a sling. I haven't showered in probably 2 days. I'm shot the fuck out, you know what I mean? Not $1 on me. And I'm sitting there thinking everything's okay, you know what I mean? Because I got one in me, and I'm drinking a 40 on the side of the road, waiting for this bus that's I hope is coming at 6.
That you've heard of before. You didn't know if it was actually.
Yeah, and then I remember getting to Baltimore, and I'm just like all messed up, and I'm like, dude, like, it was like imagine like for my Philly people, imagine getting off a bus at like 33rd and Diamond and not being from 33rd and Diamond. So I'm like, oh, it's Baltimore. You know, I'm a Philly dude, so I have no idea what's good with this. Yeah. It was shot the fuck out. And then I just remember making that trek from there to home and just like seeing like the look in my mom's face. I'll never forget it. And like, it like I didn't know it at this point, but that look would be a look to haunt me, and it would repeat itself over and over and over.
You'd see that face again.
I saw that face many, many of times. You know what I mean? And it's just, it was crazy. These are the crazy circumstances that like happens all because of drugs and alcohol. Like some of this shit, like I'm just like, how the fuck did I even get here? Yeah. Like for real, how did I even get here? It's like, you know what I mean? That's why I feel like I'm really grateful to even be alive. You know what I mean? Like this.
Oh no, you absolutely are, because people do die of this shit all the time. It's not like I'm not breaking the fucking news right now. People die of opiates all the fucking time.
Right. It's crazy.
But if and when you get through it and you do see a future for yourself, not like I'm gonna have this career. As long as you know that time's gonna go on and you're part of that long-term plan of like I'm going to be 30, I'm going to be 40, I'm going to be. Right, exactly. I just turned 30. Right. I never fucking thought I'd be this old, dude. It's crazy. Never, not one. My first time in rehab, I was 19, And I was just like, I'm just going to have to get used to this shit. Cause
yeah. As I said, this is my life. I'll never forget this, man. Like, the first time when I went to treatment, I was such a master manipulator. I told my mom I was going down the shore. I went to a detox in Jersey.
Going on vacation, definitely.
Yeah, right. Sunrise Detox in Tom Rivers, New Jersey. And I remember just thinking, because, I didn't know anything about this shit, this lifestyle, there's a better life. I just need to beat these withdrawals. I physically can't do anything without opiates. But if I didn't have the withdrawals, I wouldn't have to use. I didn't know how sick I was. And I remember, telling my mom I'm going on vacation down the shore with a friend and did the whole thing. But I remember, being in that detox, within, half an hour of being in there,
Yeah.
I hooked up with some girl. I'm fucking this girl. And this is crazy shit, bro. I'm fuck some girl in there. Yeah. I got high in there, and then when I remember hitting 7 days of doing the whole I think I was there maybe for 9 days or some shit, and I was kind of okay because the sub is 72 hours or the half life is whatever.
Yeah.
And when I was coming home or whatever, I was noticing, I'm fuck, I come to learn it was post-acute, but I didn't know any of this shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember dude, I'm still withdrawn, it's crazy, and I said, I went to go link up with my buddies and celebrate. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
We were fucking down Javies, ended up getting 40s.
Well, because you're back, and how else do they know how to celebrate with you?
Right, exactly. So, they greet me with drinks, we start drinking, I'm doing coke that night. I end up down Fat Tuesdays buying M boxes off some random dude at the bar, snorting perks in the bathroom, and I'm
to celebrate beating a certain addiction.
I beat withdrawals.
You just feed the other one, right? But having withdrawal after your actual withdrawal isn't weird, and I only know this because I have a really, really low threshold for pain. Tattoos are fine because I know there's an end game to it.
Right.
Once it's finished, I will have something. But I still have phantom pains, dude.
Really?
Oh yeah, just because for maybe 2 months after actually stopped doing fentanyl, because I haven't done it since I stopped. It's been almost I don't know the day, but I was 19.
Okay, that's what's up.
So that was the last time. But for a couple months after I stopped, I would when I stand up, when I was going through withdrawal, if I knew there was a pain in a certain spot, I would nurse that spot as I go to stand up. So for months after that, I knew there was no real pain there, but I'd go to stand up and my body would tell me, don't do that because you're going to fucking fuck your shit up. So I would nurse it. There would be no pain, but then my body will remind me a little throb here and there, hey, remember this? remember that?
It's crazy because a lot of these people that use a lot of, I'd say, the media, this and that, movies especially, they portray, they glamorize drug use, and what they don't show is when my body alarm clock goes off in active addiction and it's 5:30 and these withdrawals are starting to set in and I'm not feeling good, it doesn't show that ever. Ever.
It's just the fun party side of it. There's a couple movies that are the really dark shit, but that's all they're focused on is just here's the worst of the worst. And I have to remind people all the time is that I hate glamorizing drugs. What we're doing right now is we're not romanticizing because we understand that this is the part of our life that we have no plans on revisiting. Because as much as we can trade war stories and how fun it was at times fun as fuck.
Right, in the beginning it was, like I said, it was the whole innocent thing. I kind of just felt this is a phase. I really, truly, honestly thought it was a phase,
Right, because older me wouldn't do this.
Right.
But 19, 20-year-old me, I can get away with fucking some things up.
Right.
That's for future me to worry about. But future me was going to be an addict too.
Right.
But I didn't fucking get my shit straight. And I'm not on here to speak on your level because I am by no means sober. You know what I mean? I don't touch the hard stuff. I've slipped up as recent as 2 years ago. I did an oxy because I was going through some shit, and afterwards I'm well, I forgot that wasn't a fucking excuse.
Right.
But that was it for me. I did it once, and I was oh, I get it, but done. And I'm not perfect, but I smoke weed for a lot of the same reasons that I would do other shit before, and I recognize that.
Right.
I recognize that all right, if I'm having a rough day or if I need help falling asleep, as I like to call it, I'll get violently high, and it'll do it. It's like the only difference is like it's not going to kill me.
Right.
But that's why I say like I'm definitely an addict. I'm not an active addiction for opiate addiction.
Right. Exactly.
And that's another thing I want to talk about so we can get away from like the near romanticizing and the trading of war stories to get a couple things that we've both encountered and we both agree on. Not that I've brought this up to you, I just know that if you've been through rehab, you know these fucking things. So, girls. Well, not necessarily girls, but sexual and physical relationships during and post rehab are probably some of the most dangerous things you could get yourself into because you are literally looking for something to attach yourself to that is not you. And to make yourself feel better, for a little bit, it's not going to be drugs.
Right, exactly. You know, I can definitely relate to that. And, like, even during, I'll start with, like, during, like, the addiction, like, with dating, like, girls and stuff. Like,
because you said you're attracted to people who live that lifestyle anyway.
Right, so it's weird, though. I've never, hooked up, saw, dated, or been in a relationship with a girl who's like me, like one of us. Always
one of us.
Right, one of us. All normies, you know, like girls that could, you know, like pick it up, take it or leave it. If they ever had consequences, they stop. They go to work the next day. They do this, they do that. And although it would just be hard because they just, at the end, like put it this way, you have that honeymoon phase for the first, you know, couple weeks or whatever. I'm notorious. People have like one night stands. I'm like more like a 1 month stand type of fella. You know what I mean? They say, but anyway, so 2 months goes by, so you're talking to someone, and for me, they, you know, your character defects start to come out. The perfect phase is over.
Sure, over time.
They start to realize, like, this dude is leaving at midnight to go take his grandmom to work. Like, bro, she's retired. Like, you're fucking crazy. And they start to see this shit, and slowly, you know, they catch you in the act. They do whatever. You're broke all the time, you know. And they find out you're an addict, and it's just crazy because, like, you get attached to someone, and then when they bounce, rightfully so, you know what I mean? Rightfully fucking so, because you have nothing to offer. Right. I have nothing to offer. You get, like, double depressed, and you're just, like, you know, drink. It's like the thing they say, like, drinking poison expecting someone else to die. Now I'm sitting with myself. I'm like, fuck you.
Guzzling
like,
that shit.
I'm gonna, fuck you. Like, watch this then. Like, you think I'm terrible? Like, I'll really show you. I'll show you. I'm gonna do all the heroin. Like, fuck you. Like, that doesn't get you nowhere. So, like,
But you mentioned something that's worth stopping and at least addressing again. In that, like, you like knew. You know what I mean? Like, you knew that you could just be like, oh, you want me to do something fucking horrible, like I'm gonna do it. And also you knew that you had nothing to offer.
Right.
So if I knew that I've been pretending this whole time to have like redeemable qualities, and someone tries to like nudge in and be like, wait, no, like I don't like these fucking things.
Right.
On top of knowing how bad I can be, when someone like uncovers that first layer, I'm like, all right, fuck, like, what are you peeling layers away for? Fuck you. If you're trying to find some shit out, I'll show you some fucking shit.
Here's some crazy shit I'll drop on you. I'm not gonna drop names, but this is like this for real. This is like some god shit. So my last ex-girlfriend, right? I was her first boyfriend, like real boyfriend or whatever. And in high school, or I think when she was younger, probably about, you know, young teens, her dad, you know, passed away from this disease of addiction, which I came to learn through, you know, being with her. And I was her first boyfriend, and I was like, holy shit. Like, I just remember,
it's a lot.
You know, and like, this is before she knew I was like all fucked up. Long story short, you know, going through the steps, when I went to go make amends with her, like, which went crazy good, you know what I mean? It was crazy. It was like a God moment. She's like, you know, like, I harbor no resentment against you, and also on top of that, like, you coming to me and like telling me what you did wrong to me and making financial amends and, you know, doing this and doing that, like, it kind of gave me an insight of like why my father maybe was the way he was, and it kind of freed me of resentments that I past harbored against him. And it was like such a freeing moment because like that's like selfish. Like, I didn't even care that she was happy about that, you know, I paid back some debts or this or that or forgive me for lying or this. Like, I'm so happy that she can kind of be all right and hold her head high, like, you know what I mean? And that you realize it's not a moral deficiency with her, you know? Like, it's just awesome. Like, this, for me, like, you know, God works in crazy ways. Like, it's just, I feel like it was like a life lesson going through that because I've never really I never really had like a real relationship, and that wasn't real by any means because, like I said, I didn't have anything to offer. We didn't live together and shit like that. But
right.
besides that, I had like one girlfriend in high school, and like, you know, that was kind of, you know, just young bullshit. Like I never really had a real connection, and it's crazy. But with that being said, like as you were saying, like when first newly sober, which I've been through many times.
I've been newly sober a bunch.
Right, it's like the 5th time this year now.
Yeah, but you almost use the physical relationship as kind of like a crutch because you can't use drugs anymore. So like, why not use someone?
Exactly, and like, you know, like nowadays, like I try to be upfront about like motives and intentions and stuff.
But in con man mode,
you know, yeah, you know what I mean. Like it's like this, bro. You don't realize how fucking bad you look with a dope habit. So when you get clean, you know what I mean, you're cleaned up, you're working, you have some money, you start attaining possessions, and like you have a fresh cut, like you're feeling yourself, you get a little attention and you act on it because it's like, fuck, like, you know what I mean, like,
yeah,
we're men, you know what I mean, like that's just how it is. It's like inherent. And you don't realize like the harm you can really putting on someone else, you know, with not being upfront about your past and all this and all that, and like old character defects come out.
If they're holding expectations on you, sure.
Exactly. Yeah. But like I was getting on is like, so I've had like the 2 real girlfriends, right? Maybe 1.5 too. but what I'm saying is like that was a pattern for a while, and like what I mean by that is I would talk to someone for like 1 month to 3 months, they'd find out, they'd leave, rightfully so, and it would just fuel that, like, oh, I'm not good enough. Like,
until you find someone who like lets you think you're good enough.
Yeah, like what's going on here? Like they only want to be with me because I'm fun to be around. Like I put it all on them, and like,
which is really weird because for the longest time that's what you pride yourself on being.
Right, and
it's like the guy.
Yeah, and like what my sponsor says is like, yo, like just clean your side of the street. So like when I always be like, what was my part in it? I'd be like, oh, she's a fucking bitch, dude. She don't talk to me no more. Blah blah blah. Like, no, bro. Like, she's normal. You're on fucking heroin. Yeah. Like, why would you want to be with someone like that? You know what I mean? Not, like I said, respect on nothing to give. No goals.
Oh yeah.
No aspirations. Like,
dude,
nothing. Just physical stuff.
I'm so happy that retrospectively that you can see it that way, because I'm still at that point now. Because like I know that, like, not just drugs aside, just life in general, there's a lot of cleaning up to do for anybody.
Right.
And I know that right now, like, I have nothing to give. I don't care how much fun you have around me. I don't care like the advice or the help that I offer you. I have, in terms of like a relationship, which I could be wrong. I look at me as in a skewed view, but I would never trust myself with being anyone's like person.
Right.
You know, so all these lies of like, you know, I could like, or anybody could be in a relationship when like that's like your mindset. No, understand that those are reserved, or healthy relationships are reserved for people who like are taking care of themselves.
Right, exactly. It goes back on that self-care, self-love. Like, I can't love. I used to think this shit's so corny. Like, I can't love anyone unless I love myself. But like, bro, like it really is true. And like nowadays, like it's like with sobriety, like I really am like coming to find out about myself, because I stopped maturing like physically, emotionally, every fucking thing a long time ago, bro. So it's like I'm really trying to find myself. Like, do I still, you know, the lust comes out? Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that's hard. That's hard for me. But with that being said, is like I'm very upfront, and like for right now, for the time being, I take it a day at a time, and it's like I'm cool with myself. You know what I mean? I'm working on that every day. So like a girlfriend wouldn't even be in the cards for me right now. I'm like trying to like obtain a career. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to like better myself. I'm trying to become more spiritual every day. Like, I'm trying to figure out what the fuck I like to do, man. Yeah. Because I had one hobby, bro. Just get fucked up.
Right.
That's it. I had no idea what I like. You know what I mean? And right now, like, I'm trying to build a relationship with the people that mean most, like my family, my sober support network, my sponsor. You know?
Most importantly, yourself.
Yeah, myself. That's what I'm saying, is myself, because like it's true, bro. Like, I don't even know myself, so how am I gonna be able to get to know you?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Well, that's the bigger part of it is, and it gets into what I wanted to get into in terms of Now, I don't want to speak on the program because the program works so amazing for. I know some people who are like by the book, the big book, and literally like it has done wonders for them. I bet they could have done it on their own because of who they are, but like it helps them so much that I'll never talk bad about it. But the program itself, it has its flaws. And one of them that I hated when I got in there, they were like, you know what, if you really want to take this shit seriously, the first year you'll be celibate.
Yeah, so like I remember it's like this, like I remember that, you know, it is good advice, and these are only
those are like old school AA people. It's never like people our age, right. But like
it's only suggestions. But like, you know, my sponsor
yeah.
puts me like, it's definitely not the best thing to hop into a, you know, relationship or whatever in the first year of sobriety, and like I'm coming up on 6 months clean. A couple more weeks I'll have it, and like,
congratulations.
Thank you. And I really feel like it's true because like right now, dude, like I'm not emotionally available. Like for real, like my schedule is jam packed, bro.
Yeah.
A lot of programming. Like I work Monday through Friday, right? I go to meetings anywhere between 4 to 6 times a week. I have a home group with a commitment. I was doing step work a lot. I'm still actively doing.
You get good at making bulk coffee yet, or do you still?
Oh, dude, I'm the coffee bowl. I'm that vicious coffee, Sid Vicious coffee bowl.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, best coffee in the town. But no, like I really, honestly, it sounds like cliche, but like I don't have time to give like that. You know what I mean? Like, and with this shit, bro, like I've come to learn. Like I'm slowly learning because, like I said, I'm in early sobriety. It's not all about me, and it never was, and it's never going to be. So, like, right now, like, I'm all about helping the next guy, helping the new guy. Like, I don't matter anymore. God's got me. I keep faith. Like, shit's gonna fucking work out. It's just gonna fall into place. I just gotta do the work. And the best way to get outside of your own thinking and your fucking crazy head, my head never turns off. You can see the grays. You know what I mean? At 25, it's crazy. The best way to do that is to just talk to someone, help them out. New guy comes in. Yeah, new guy comes in. I know that feeling, bro. I remember going to my first recovery house with, 37 cents in my account. Your fucking family's done with you. They don't want to talk to you. You don't have a job. You have there's nothing in sight. Their girl left them or their wife left them. They got new charges. They're on probation. They're doing this, they're doing that. And it's something as small as, yo, bro, like, you want to go get a burger at the diner? What kind of cigarettes you smoke, bro? You smoke ports? I got you. You know what I mean? Like, on the eye. Because, like, someone did that for me.
Dude, it means so much.
You know what I mean? It means a lot.
I have social anxiety. So, like, when I used to go, seriously, dude, like, I shut down. Yeah. If I'm not in the mood for people, I literally shut the fuck down. So going to these meetings, like I literally I don't want to raise my hand or nothing, but like people notice you come in the room. Yeah. Like it could be a room of 100 people, and if you're the new person, they don't have to point you out. You will be at a good meeting. You will be approached after everything's said. But you're right. They say it all the time. It's a very selfish program in that you're working it to help you.
Right.
But the service itself, the program itself is service.
Exactly. It's
making the commitment to like having a part in even setting up for the fucking meeting or giving someone your fucking number and be like, yo, if you're in a spot, hit me up. Very rarely will that person fucking hit you up. But guess the fuck what? Now they have options.
Right.
And not only does it make you feel good, like you put something positive out there in a time where you're worried about the amount of negative shit you've put out there.
It's like this too. Buddy of mine from the neighborhood, I'm not gonna drop his name. He's like probably 6 years clean about. Wife, kids, home, all that.
I know exactly
full-time job.
About,
right.
Yeah.
I called him it was a Thursday night, and I'm sick as a dog, bro. I got no plays left. I'm decrepit, just curled up in a ball, sweating my ass off in my grandmom's fucking basement. I'm like, dude, I need treatment. My man stopped what he was doing, ran my insurance, did all that shit. He came at my house at 8 o'clock at night, and he has a wife and kids, bro. And 12-step me to get me into treatment. He didn't fucking have to do that. He could have said, you know what I mean, here's the number for so-and-so.
Right, I Googled it for you, here you go.
And he stuck through me, and I still talk to this dude all the time. And I actually seen him a couple weekends ago. He's in the same sober softball league. But, like, that's what it's about, bro. Like, he something clicked for him, and he's, like, trying to put it on the others. And hopefully one day I'll be fortunate enough to have my own experiences with that and help others. Because it's just crazy. He showed up at a minute's notice, bro. You know what I mean?
I can imagine
that, bro.
I would be too.
Yeah.
I've dealt with this, not to just keep on this person, but I've been to their speaker meetings where they've been the speaker,
Right.
and he 100% the kind of person to do that. Just from like what he's been saying and what like I've seen him do. Like, I'm not surprised that he did that for you, but like I can absolutely see why you're thankful.
Yeah.
There's people that I've been in there with, like there's a guy I went to high school with who was one of the first people that I had any interaction with drugs with. I didn't do them with him, but he was the guy I knew that like at any moment's time I knew he had like drugs, because at that time drugs meant anything besides
Right.
weed or alcohol. But he would come in and be like, "Yo, bro, just so you know, don't do perks." And I'm like, "All right, cool. I didn't really plan on it." He's like, "Because the headache sucks." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, because the headache sucks." But I get into a rehab. I was like 22, 23, and the IOP, the intensive outpatient.
Yeah.
And he was in the group, and I'm like, "Holy shit, dude! Like, I literally didn't know that you were still a walking, living human being." But like within the first 5 minutes, like the person running the group and everyone in there is just like, "Oh, you know him?"
Right.
Like, that is like great, because he's a person that you should probably be around. So I took that advice. He'd take me to meetings and shit, and like he's like really low key. But he would like go up to whoever's running and be like, "Yo, like my buddy's new. He doesn't want to say that he's new, but like let's talk to him afterwards." So it is really nice to run into people that aren't only working the program in their eyes the right way and helping themselves, but like they've got it to the point where they can focus a little bit less on themselves to make sure that when it gets to the service part of it, that they can really put more of themselves into it. It goes from handing a number to actually showing the fuck up when that number's called.
Right. And it's like this, like what you're talking about is like that feeling of uncomfortability. Like they say you need to go through that to grow. Like, put in perspective, like I didn't even know like Bucks County was like a thing until moving out there when I was getting clean, you know what I mean? So I just remember my first day out there, I'm on job search, I'm kicked out of the house, between 8 and 3:30 to get a job. I remember walking down Bristol Pike, it's fucking freezing cold, I don't have a coat, everything is just, I can't see anything good coming from this. I'm walked the wrong fucking way on Bristol Pike, like an hour long. My house is this way. I'm like, nah, that's it. Fuck Levittown, fuck Croydon, all that shit. Yeah. I call up the guy who got me in the treatment, and I'm like, "Yo, bro, this ain't gonna work, bro. I have no idea where I'm at. This is farmland, you know what I mean? Growing up in Philly rocks, bro. It's just like, this is a complete whole different ballpark." And what's funny about that is the suburbs near us is the main line. Think of Lower Merion, Barra, Kenwood, fucking
even
King
places like King of Prussia
nice
is like it's a bit busier. Yeah,
I go. Besides the business, it's just so much nicer. I'm not saying Levitt. You know what I mean? I'm not coming at Bucks County. I'm just saying Bucks County is a little bit more middle class than that. So like in my head, it's like, I'm going to Bucks County, bro. I'm making it, bro. I'm living out in the burbs. And I show up, and it's like half of it's like it's just Middletown, Pennsylvania. It's like. Some of it's like farms and shit. And
I used to deliver ice out there, and it's not. It's you don't go out there.
It's not the burbs we think of, bro.
It's not a piece of shit neighborhood, but like you go out there, and once you're there for more than like a couple of days, you're like start to get a feel for what it is. It's like, oh, this is kind of just like a rural extension of what I'm used to.
Northeast Philly, and I'm thinking in my head though, true, the mainline moms with the Louis bags are gonna be walking around, bad Johns. Nah. You know what I mean?
Dude.
Not at all.
Which thanks such a culture shock. Thank God, because like imagine the kind of trouble you'd try to get into if there was like people you'd want to talk to or like anything you'd want to do. Like no, it's devoid of entertainment and noise. I feel like when you get out there, like the city noise, like I could sit outside here. Like we're in the city limits, but we're like in more of like a rural part of the city. Right. I can still sit outside and get like that white noise of city.
Exactly.
But there's it drives you crazy. Like if that's what you're used to and you're there and not having fun,
right?
That like no fucking sound drives you nuts.
Put it this way too, like it's all. I think for me it ties into like, I grew up in a row home. Mm-hmm. Now I live like in a little.
Most people from here do,
right? So you know what I'm saying? It's just a culture shock, but it also moving out here. It like forces me to like be okay with myself. Like, bro, like this is crazy. I've hated reading from the age of conception. Like for real. Like so I'm out here now, like I'm doing weird shit. Like I fucking read books. You know what I mean? I can sit by myself for more than fucking 5 minutes without being bored or having to do something. You know what I mean? I can put my phone down, I can read a book, I can listen to music, dude. Like shit, and just like meditate and be with myself and be present in the moment. And it's fucking crazy because I used to never practice that, but it really is. It's a stress relieving thing, you know what I mean? Especially with someone that deals with like a lot of anxiety because shit pops up in early sobriety. Like you can't see the end game. Like I just, you know what I mean? You can't.
So why plan for any of that? Why have like a hobby or something that's mine when at the end of the day, like I have one goal.
Right.
Everything else is fucking secondary, and I'll worry about it if I have to.
Yeah, dude. It's definitely rough at first getting used to, but I noticed for myself, when you can start sitting with yourself, man, it makes the time when you're with others even better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Example, like, getting sober, like, when I would hang out with my friends, because, like, I think you said it earlier, like, I'd always be on that party go mode. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm 25 now, bro. So, like, as of a couple years ago, my friends, like, I'm like, yo,
what you doing that?
Yeah. What you doing tonight, bro? Like, you want to get a case and, like, hey, bro, McDowell, it's fucking Tuesday night. I got work at 6 a.m. and I'm, you know what I mean? Like, people grow up. Like, the party ends. Like, for me, it never did, and I could never realize it.
Like, I feel, bro.
This dude's a weirdo.
19 years old and had a kid, right?
Yeah.
I was still in and out of rehabs up until I was like 24, 25, and I was still hitting people up like, yo, we should get like dumb drunk tonight. Do a couple fucking triple C's, and you know, just get a little funky. And they're like, Joe, go home to your kids, bro. Like, it's Tuesday night. Right. You're in your mid-20s, like, bro, like, maybe Saturday, and not what you're talking about. Right. Because that's not having fun. But you don't get that, dude. You're like, no. I need to be the extreme.
Right.
I need to be out there.
Everything I do.
But now, but nowadays, what do you fill your life with that's, like, for you? Because now that you're not trying to feed a habit or, like, make yourself be okay with who you are, like, you obviously have lit some, like, hobbies or likes into your life that you can focus on now. Like, what are you up to?
Yeah, so like nowadays, bro, like put it this way, like during the week, you know, I just, you know, I lucked out and got a pretty decent job, you know what I mean? So like that's a focus during my week, you know. I have my routine, you know, I wake up, pray, meditate, have my coffee, you know, and just get ready for my day. But besides work, man, in my free time, like I'm pretty heavily involved with the program, you know what I mean? Like I'm hanging around dudes with like-minded, you know, objectives like me, just to get another day clean.
You said you were going 4 to 6 a week.
I go to a lot of meetings.
Commitment
I started doing the whole gym thing. You know what I mean? It relieves a lot of tension, stress, and anxiety. And like, you know, doing like normal shit, like playing pickup basketball. I'm in a men's softball sober league. Like I would transport back a couple years, like, yo, that's corny as fuck, bro.
My
like,
friends at 22 years old need to get a load on to play fucking pickup basketball.
Doing shit like that, like going out to eat, like hanging out, and like, you know what I mean, having good conversation like this.
For the purpose of hanging out and having good conversation.
Yeah, bro. Like I'm not trying to go hang out with someone like, you know, like with my family where I'm like, this dude only wants to come around because he's gonna ask me for $30. Like, you know what I mean? I can actually, like, be present, like, contribute to a conversation, you know what I mean? Be a good time. So.
Instead of just being the dude who's out of his fucking mind, and when he does speak, like, the energy's there, he's just not making fucking sense, man.
Right, yeah, man, that's what I'm saying.
So you like getting into MMA?
Dude, I follow it. I follow it heavy, you know what I mean? So I'm like an MMA connoisseur in the sense of, like, tonight, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of my time on Saturdays at nights is I'll watch the fights of my boys, bro. Like, that's my thing. Follow Bellator, one championship in the UFC, like, very heavily, you know?
You gonna watch Jake Paul get his ass kicked?
I mean, dude, honestly, that's crazy. Like, I'll put it this way, bro. Like, I'm not a fan of boxing per se. It's only one form of martial arts. It's only one form of combat. Not
really an effective one either.
Right. I love the whole mixed martial. Exactly. Wrestling and grappling is by far the most effective. Look at the
boxing is just a concussion contest, but it's fun to watch when people get knocked out.
It's aesthetically pleasing.
And it's technical. It's technical like the rest of it, but you're right.
But I think I might tune in just to see what happens, because I'll be honest, in my opinion, I don't think Jake Paul or whatever. Jake Paul's a Logan. I don't think I think he's like just learning the box, bro. He has like 2 pro fights, you know, against old guys. But on the other hand, Ben Askren, bro, like he I don't even think he didn't have like a nice jab to keep you honest. Like, you knew what he was doing. He's coming out. Yeah. He's trying to double leg you and get a rear naked. You know what I mean? But like,
he's a hell of a fighter.
Take a beating. Bro.
He didn't have a boxing background.
Look what happened with Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler dumped Ben Askren on his fucking head and started mauling him with those big shots when he was on the canvas.
Yeah.
And look what happened, bro. He took his back and got a bulldog choke, and it was controversial. You know, Herb Dean stopped it, but his arm went limp. It was a whole thing. But anyway, he ended up fucking beating him. And Robbie Lawler is a longtime vet. People forget.
Also,
Robbie was a killer.
Herb Dean doesn't make that many mistakes.
And
I don't think this is one of them.
I don't even know if it was, because if you look at it, bro, you could see his arm go limp, you know, and that's the referee.
Oh, he has to protect you.
That's exactly.
How can you get mad at a dude who's like, dude, you fucking...
His arm went limp. And, you know, he didn't want to run it back, obviously, because let's be honest, you really want to fight Robbie Lawler twice?
No, of course not.
One of my favorite fights of all time is, I think it was UFC 189 when Conor fought for that interim belt, was Robbie Lawler and Roy McDowell. Bro, they beat the shit out of each other in that 5-round war. You know, I think it went... No, he ended up getting the TKO. But, bro, like, it's just... That fight was so intense, you know? Like,
yeah.
But, no, I've been around watching it for a while. A lot of people got into the whole MMA scene with, like, Conor in 2013, 2014.
For the hype, sure.
For the hype.
Or whenever Mayweather decides to fight again, people will start look like, oh, what's happened recently? And
right.
Like I'm by no means an expert. I watch UFC once in a while. I even know a couple of the fucking fighters. A lot of them way above my fucking head. But like the sport itself, like if you watched pro wrestling,
I never was into that shit.
So when you find out it's fake, anything that's a real version of it immediately catches your fucking like attention. So when UFC came around, everyone who was a little disheartened, like, oh, WWE's like fake, but it's entertaining. It's like, well, this shit's entertaining and it's real.
Right.
So let's see what's going on. And you're right. People come in like when McGregor hit the scene and he was doing like literally promoting for himself, just doing the most outrageous shit. It became entertainment and you wanted to watch. When Brock Lesnar joined, it became entertainment and you wanted to fucking watch. Now with Ben Askren, it's a little bit different because he's never been a boxer. And this is kind of why it's a big deal, because not only is he fighting Jake Paul, who's 2-0, beat the shit out of Nate Robinson, you know?
Yeah.
He's doing something that's not in his realm. The way when McGregor decided to box.
But people do forget it, though. He was a multi-organization, you know, belt holder, and he fucking...
The man's a fighter. The man is a fighter. The man is well-equipped to take care of himself in any kind of ring.
And no matter how corny it is, bro, you'd be lying if you say you wouldn't take that fight.
Oh,
for
no.
that money, you know what I mean? It's corny as fuck, bro.
I'm not saying anything bad against him in this fight, because I have him winning.
Yeah,
I think Jake Paul's an asshole. Is it great that he's getting good at what he wants to do? Sure.
Right.
I hope he wins a bunch of them. I just don't think this is going to be one of those wins.
Yeah, it's just so hard for me to get enticed by it. I think I just want to see how bad of a bout it's going to be. I think it's going to be so ugly. But, yeah.
Like technically or like...
Technically, everything. I mean, dude, like, even Ben Askren, like, his footwork's wonky. He doesn't even have a 1-2. He has a little bit of an overhand, but, like, dude, he's a wrestler through and through. Like, that's it. And then Jake, I don't really know much about him because I'll be honest, I don't follow boxing like that. And part of it...
I doubt you follow his YouTube channel at all.
No, I definitely don't do that.
Well, he's been training like his ass off, right? I think 2 or more years. He's been focused. From what I've seen, I don't know the fucking dude, nor am I a fan of his.
Right.
But just doing what I do, like I watch other YouTube channels, see what they're doing, right? And dude's been kicking this sport's ass in the training room pretty fucking hard.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't see why his main focus has been boxing. Ben Askren has switched it to just boxing.
Right.
Like you said, his footwork for boxing is wonky. He doesn't have that much of a jab, but he is a fighter. So there's pros and cons to saying that each of them might win for whatever reason. But at the end of the day, Jake Paul is not... Now he is. He's a professional fighter. But he doesn't have the kind of experience that Askren has. And I think that at the end of the day, that's what's going to come down to is like, no... Askren's just going to see certain things with Jake Paul throughout the match and be like, oh, I know how to combat this. Whereas Jake Paul, it's his 3rd pro fight, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think so too. And like with the Hurt business, bro, like if it sells, it makes sense. You know, like a lot of promoters say that, especially Dana White. And like to me, like it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like why not? Like especially if Jake beats him, bro, he's going to build his name and use that as like... as his up level. He just beat like a world class, like at the end of the day, as much as people don't want to say, like Ben's a world class fighter. Yes. Not a world class boxer, he's a world class fighter. So he
which qualifies him to box and it'd be a big deal.
Right, exactly. But you know,
the same thing with Conor. World class, you know, MMA fighter.
Right.
But when you narrow it down to boxing, it's like, probably not, but fuck it, it's Conor. We're going to...
I miss the old Conor, the retro Conor, the wide stance karate.
Where you get like real low.
You know, the bounce back and forth. Like,
I think that was the fuck with people.
You know, when he, you know, I remember when he debuted and he beat Marcus Brimage in the first round within 2 minutes, like with those uppercuts, or when he literally, you know, slept Dustin Poirier in their first meetup. Like, that's the Conor that I like. I started to fall off with that because I'll be honest, like, the scene where it's at, bro, is in the North Caucasus, bro. The Southern Russia's got it all. They have so many good fighters, bro. Like, people like, oh, Habib. But people sleep on.
Sure.
My favorite fighter who is from Dagestan, Zabit Magomedsharipov, 145er. He's like 6'1", 145, big boy. He's so all around, bro. They call him the Shaolin of Dagestan. He is vicious.
Really?
He can box. He has jiu-jitsu. He comes at you on all different angles, and like that's the shit that I get excited for. Like shit like that. Like, you know, Islam Makhachev, he's coming up. You know, he's like literally like Habib's training partner. Habib's younger cousin Umar, he just got his UFC debut not too long ago. He's out for surgery, but he got a win. You know, Khabib's other cousin Abu Bakr is pretty good. There's a bunch of Chechnya, the republics they call them.
It's definitely geographical because you don't see, like, fighting is more relevant in all these other countries, and us being from where we're from, it's kind of like this. We only see what we want to see. Wrestling or any type of mixed martial art is only as big as the shit that happens here becomes. You don't know about Khabib until he comes here or is about to come here. I've been hearing about Triple G for fucking years before like he was in any kind of spotlight here.
Exactly.
You know, like he was literally bar fights.
Exactly.
But it's geographical because you get these cities and neighborhoods where like generationally they've been fighting neighborhoods.
Exactly.
And then you get these people who come from it who end up being world class. Well, no fucking shit. Football exists everywhere and basketball exists everywhere, but guess the fuck what? Geographically, where we're from, there are these little, like, not little, there's whole cities, neighborhoods, states that are like, no, our kids that are born here are going to get good at this fucking sport.
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy.
And they don't understand. Like, over in fucking, you know, other parts of the country, especially like, a lot of good fighters came from Brazil for a while.
Yeah,
guess the fuck what? They train jiu-jitsu all the fucking time.
Right.
So of course there's going to be a fucking wonder boy who comes from Brazil.
Right. That's what I'm really into.
Anderson Silva was a fucking, like, you couldn't help but fucking watch people like him. You're like, where the fuck's he come from? It's like, well, Brazil, and guess the fuck what? There's a lot of them down there.
Bro, that's what captivated me as a kid. Like, you know, Anderson Silva. I just wanted to say, like, that's what got me in the mixed martial arts. Like, when I forget who he fought. When he front kicked whoever, right to the dome.
He front kicks everyone.
When he put Chael Sonnen in that triangle choke, when he was getting his ass handed to him the whole entire fight, I think it was the 4th and 5th round, that got me into it. And what I was about to get into was, like, you're talking about people's cultures and different things like that. Like, that shit interests me so much. Like, as we were talking before, like, you know, if I keep doing the next right thing, shit falls into place, and it's like crazy. Like, I literally have family overseas in Udon Thani, Thailand. It's on the border of like Laos, next, you know, that whole region, Cambodia and all that.
Yeah.
I've been able to go for years, and I just missed out because of, you know, what active addiction has done to me, and it's crazy. Like, right now, I'm like looking into like getting my passport and shit, so I can like go see where I'm from and shit, and like it goes on to other things like.
See what that culture's actually
I always
about.
thought that I would, and besides that, like, it's my hobbies learning about other people's cultures, but, like, I always thought, like, being born in Philly, I was going to end up dying here. Like, I love Philly. It's my home or whatever. It has a special place in my heart, but, like, if I keep doing this thing and doing the next right thing, like, who knows where I'm going to be? I have no kids.
Get the fuck out of Philly.
I'm single. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm going to go where it's warm, bro. I have no idea what tomorrow holds for me. I don't even know what tonight holds for me. But what I'm saying is, you know, I would like to start traveling, you know what I mean? And all that stuff, and like, you know, going overseas, you know, maybe start with somewhere. It's funny to think though, I've traveled, but for rehab.
Yeah, for rehab. I've been to places, but not for what I wanted to be there.
I checked the whole beach scene down Florida. It was fire. Oh, what beach you go to? It was like Juno Beach Recovery Center.
It was the closest beach. I had to be home in an hour.
Right, like, exactly. You know,
it's the only one I could go to.
I had a little day pass after the Suboxone maintenance was done. You know, a little Suboxone taper. But yeah, no, I'm really into that. You know,
but
seeing
in
other
terms
people's
of
cultures.
Yeah, you definitely get. I mean, I'm not I haven't been to a bunch of fucking places, and I can definitely speak to not like knowing if Philly's like the final destination or where you're gonna like stay. Because I will tell you, yes, if you can, go the fuck everywhere. Because like I've been to like 2 places that in my head I knew I wanted to go since I was like younger, and it's never disappointed. So just keep that thought process of like, I want to go see this, let's go see this. Keep learning up on cultures. But Philly, get the fuck out of here, dude. And I don't even care that it's on fucking camera, because like I appreciate Philly for what it's done to me.
Dude, it's
I would
blasted
not
on
be.
It's blasted on me.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Philly's home. It's who I am.
In terms of like my aggressiveness, the way I talk, the way I just go about myself, I like that part of me, and I wouldn't have gotten there anywhere but Philly.
Right.
Just the grittiness you get from being from here.
Dude.
But I'm just gonna take that Philly, thank you, and I'm gonna take it somewhere the fuck else.
Right.
And soon. This is the last summer I'm dealing with, dude. 80 degrees, and like I don't want to like be downtown at night because people fucking die when it's nice out.
Oh, dude, Philly's...
And people live in these fucking neighborhoods where like if it's nice out, you can't let your fucking kids out, bro.
It's ridiculous, bro. It's just crazy. I mean, dude, our murder rate in Philly is crazy. Like, remember in 2008 when we were calling like Philadelphia? Like, I didn't even realize... I was a kid, bro, but I didn't realize how fucked up
Taking
the city
pride
is.
in that shit. Little do we know, we're fucking 12 years old, not seeing what it really is.
Yeah, and you get to see that shit. I mean, just alone, I seen them stat. Like, 55 kids were shot in Philadelphia this year. Like,
So far.
It's ridiculous. And you know how the summer is, bro? Like, these liquor storefronts, these corners, these playgrounds, bro? Like, it's just dumb shit, bro. Like, people really be wilding out over dumbass shit like neighborhood beef, baby mama drama. And that's what I wanted to get onto. What I was trying to bring up is like, I have the options if, you know what I mean? If I just take it a day at a time, because like, I don't have anything tying me here. Right. I don't have a girl. I don't have any kids. You know what I mean? I have a decent job right now, but like, I'm young enough, I feel like I'm old. I feel like I lived the life of like, a 75-year-old. Just from the experiences.
The amount of life you expected to live so far.
Yeah, and like I have options open because there's nothing really tying me here. You know what I mean? Like, yes, like this is home and this is home base, and my whole family's here. You know what I mean? I got cousins throughout the city, all that shit. But it's a really cool, exciting thing because when I was using, bro, like, I had no options of where I was going to work, what I was going to drive, what I was going to fucking eat, because I literally lived off fucking pretzels and water ice. But, like, now it's like, shit starts to open up. Like, I have options, you know what I mean? And like, I'm just excited for the future because I have no idea what it'll hold. And that can give me anxiety, but when that creeps up on me, bro, like I said, I just try to get out of myself with healthy shit.
It's a good anxiety.
Shit's going to work. Yeah, shit's going to work out if I just keep it up, you know what I mean? Like, I was never excited about life. I was kind of just going through it, trying to always skate by. And I'd always try to, like, do things to, like, make my significant other happy, the girl I was talking to at the time, my mother, my grandmother, my godmother, my aunt.
Anybody but you.
My sister, anybody but me. I would never do it for myself, you know what I mean? And, like, it's just, a lot of past times, like, I remember, like, going into treatment, and they'd be like, hey, like, your insurance is, for lack of better terms, your insurance is fire. Like, you can go here,
wherever you want, where you need to get done.
What's good? You want to do a long-term treatment? Yeah, see, that sounds good, right? But
what I hear is...
Right, I got this girl that I got to come back to. I got these friends I got to hang out with. When in reality, it's like, I'm not even that important. People aren't thinking about me at all.
Exactly.
Like, you disappear and it's just
Who the fuck are you? Really?
Nobody. So, what I'm saying is, like, it's just crazy. It was for the union multiple times. It was for the ex. It was for my mom. It was for everyone but me.
Yeah.
And, like, for me, like, I had to come to a point, like, do I really want to keep going down this road? Because the consequences only got worse, man. Like this, before I got clean, I never thought that I'd be on State Road and CFCF.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, shit like that is fucking crazy, And, like, what I was thinking, there's only one more stop, bro, and it's in the ground.
Yeah, it ain't a good one, bro.
No, it's in the ground, and it's so selfish because I really felt like no one really missed me if I'm gone, but it's just so far from the case, you know what I mean? I just, like I said, I didn't have anything to give to anyone. I always wanted to take. I'd suck the life out of my own family.
Right.
That's why, like, when I get those thoughts, like, you know what, dude, with summer coming up, it would be fun if I could just have a couple beers, but I'll say it like this.
But who's thinking that? Is that like old you?
That's
the you that like what else is there to do?
What I'm saying is this too, like, you know, I had to cut some people off because like, yo, like, I explained it to them like this. It's the clear-cut dry I could put it, most clear-cut dry way. Like, yo, like, you really can't just come out and have a few drinks. Like, there's going to be all these girls out. This is what I tell them.
You can't really not?
I can't, and I'll tell you why. You know that, I'll be like, yo, you know that, like, feeling you get when you have, like, 6, 7 beers, you're grooving, and you see that pretty girl, and you're like, yo, dude, I gotta talk to her. I gotta take that joint home, bro. Right, that same feeling you get about towards that girl, when I start putting one in me, like a beer, whatever the fuck it is, weed, whatever, I start thinking, damn, that feels good. Like, yo, like, what if we just took home some heroin, locked myself in the bedroom for the rest of the night and just, you know what I mean, watch a documentary and just get high till whenever. Yeah. And it's like, that's how it makes me, you know, crave the dope, like how someone who can drink successfully craves, you know, attention from the opposite sex when they're drinking. Right. You know what I mean? So, like, they want to take home a girl, I want to take home heroin. Like,
right.
It's so
can I?
I can.
Sure, I could, but I can't. I can't not have that feeling.
Right.
So I will remove myself from that.
Yeah.
But when you're ready to just hang out with your boy, let me fucking know.
Right.
Because it's such a weird thing how like the addict gets treated weird, right? But there's a lot of other people who are like, oh, they can't come to the bar no more. Like that's why I don't see them. Like that's weird, bro.
Right.
That you can't see your friend anymore because they can't come to the bar. Sounds like you have a fucking problem.
So much shit. It's so much shit to do. Like me and my buddy was just talking about like going to the zoo, like shit like that. Like bro, I'd love the fucking
go throw pooping monkeys.
Right.
Like, what the fuck?
Like shit like that. You know what I mean? Like I said, man, I'm coming to learn that there's so much more than just partying. And like I said, it was fun for a while, but bro, like towards the end, what my partying looks like isn't me waking up to go and work. Isn't me talking to my family. It's literally me doing bag after bag and just no goals, nothing, bro, nothing on the agenda. So it literally, like they say, it sounds so corny, but it's true. Like give up one thing for everything, you know. Like right now, gave up drugs and alcohol to get everything, you know. And it's fire, you know. I'm slowly building a better relationship with my mother, who is, God bless her, she's been through so much. I drug her through the mud, and it's so cool because, you know, one day like our relationship won't be strained, and it's hard though in the beginning because it's like, as an addict, like I want shit now. I want instant gratification. I want her to hang out with me all the time. I want her to do this, do that. But like I didn't get this sick over one day, 1 month, not even a year, bro.
She's not going to feel better about you over
exactly, bro. You know, I need to, you know, show her fucking foot motion because for so long, you know, I can't tell you. I'll put it like this, bro. A lot of moms maybe meet like 10 different girlfriends of their son, and there's like, oh, it's a family. I can't tell you how many fucking countless counselors that she's had. Hey, Mrs. McDowell, this is so and so from treatment center. I have your son Andrew here. I'm gonna be his counselor. Like, that's the only fucking type of girls that she'd meet. That's it. That's it, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And now, like, my put it this way, my sister, bro, she's 14. That's blowing my fucking mind for a couple of reasons. And not only is she getting older and she's becoming a woman right in front of my eyes, but like I look at her and I'm like, dude, like you're so cool and good and this and that. Of course, she's probably not the most innocent, but like when I was 14, what I was doing was so different. You know what I mean? I'm not saying they're sheltered because they're not. You know what I mean? But it's just like.
Well, I mean, to be fair, different. You definitely made it an environment where you-type activities is definitely monitored across the board now. So sheltered, no. Slightly more looked after, maybe.
Right, and it's like this too, like my shit was like, I didn't care anyone in my path because like, dude, like this is the crazy shit. It's kind of funny. It has nothing to do with drugs. It just goes to show how selfish I am. I remember I had like one of those like weird, awkward one-night stands, and I'm living in my fucking mom's house. I was like 22 or 23. My sister figure was like 10 or 11. And I wake up, and my mom's banging on my door. She wants to vacuum, and she's probably pissed because I would come home all the time at like 4 a.m.
Yeah, mom's wanting to vacuum. No.
Right, she wanted to see what's up, but you know what I mean? Because I'm coming home at 4 a.m. I'm fucking trashing the kitchen. I'm loud. Like, she knows I'm on drugs. She knows I'm on drugs. I know that she knows I'm on drugs, but there's that clash, like that awkwardness. Like, okay, maybe he'll, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm in bed with this girl. I'm not going to say her name, but I don't even know her name. So anyway, I'm in
not
bed.
that I'm protecting you. I couldn't snitch on you.
I'm in bed with her, and I'm like, oh, fuck, dude. It was like one of those things. And I hear bang on the door. I'm like, 5 minutes. I remember, like, just, that's because of the manipulation thing. I was like, texting my sister Kyla, come in my room now when mommy's in the basement or something. She comes to my door. I'm like, yo, you got it. And my brother was probably like, 2 or some shit. Like, yeah, it was a summer day. I'll never forget it. I was like, yo, can you please ask mommy to take you and the baby on a walk so she leaves the house? I have this girl, Kyle, you understand, like, I have to get her out. And what I'm getting to, it's funny, I'll get to it. So, she, worked out. She runs out the crib. I don't think I ever saw her again because she's probably like, this dude's fucking stupid, which I am. Yeah. I'm in treatment.
This fucking idiot, yeah.
I'm in treatment, like, probably, when I got clean, like, 6 months ago. And she wrote me this letter. It was fucking awesome. I still have it pinned on my little, to-do list in my room. And I just remember verbatim what she said, like, at the end was like, yeah, like, I miss you, I miss my brother, like, a heartwarming note. And at the end, it was like, and I'll never forget that time I helped you out getting that girl out of the house. And it was just, like, funny, like, it's just crazy. Like I said, how I feel like I've lived through so much shit. I just feel, like, older in the sense of, like, maybe experiences per se, not really productive ones.
Right, just crazy you've been through some shit.
Crazy shit, and it's like...
Makes you wise in a sense.
It does, and it's just like, it's just crazy to look back, you know what I mean? Like, using her like that, or... It's so fucking crazy.
Dude, it is nuts. The situations, like, you get into and have to put other people into, but it's to touch on, because we're going to wrap up in a minute, because this has been insightful as fuck, but your sister's 14.
Yeah.
My daughter's 10.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
So they're close enough to the same age to where, like, we can look back on being from 10 to 14, and I don't care who you are. Like, unless there's some people who can date it back before then, but I know for me, and from what you've described, that is a very crucial age in terms of who you're okay with being moving forward.
You're coming into yourself at that age, you know what I mean? You're trying to build your identity for good, bad, or worse, indifferent, And, like, that's what I've struggled with. And, like, to say that I found it would be blatantly lying. I still don't know. I'm still coming to myself.
But your sister could come to you because of what she knows you've experienced and be like, yo, here's a thought I'm having. I know it's not a productive thought. Like, what do you think about this?
I could probably, and she's seen it firsthand. She'd stay with my grandmother's, for instance, and I'd only go there for money, you know what I mean? Because I'm just trying to get something out of you, an addiction. And I remember showing up a lot of the times, in this one particular night, this is crazy, I took my little sister's bike, mind you, it's fucking pink and a Hello Kitty bike, and I'm riding down Ridge to go to my grandmom's, and it's like 1 a.m., and it's my grandma. She's, she's in sleep. Yeah. But she can't sleep because her grandson's on fucking heroin.
And you're not home.
Much her son, because she raised me with my mother, grandparents and all. And I show up and come to the door. It's my little sister and my grandmother. I'm dope sick. I'm coded up. It's the middle of summer. Excuse me. And I just remember that look in her face when I asked my grandmom, for whatever crazy excuse I had, whether it was the phone bill that I didn't even pay, whether it was a parking ticket that I never got, whether it was the court fees that I don't even have the paperwork for because I didn't give a fuck. And I just remember looking at her like, damn, like that was, I never forget that. Like that's when she was like, yeah, like my brother's sick, because she wasn't oblivious to it. As much as I thought she was, because she's younger, like she's seen it firsthand throughout, like it's just, it's crazy. It's eye-opening.
When you actually look at how it's affecting other people.
I drugged them all in. I used to think like, oh, like, what's it matter if I'm doing this lifestyle? Like, it's just affecting me. But bro, like that is such a lie. Like it literally took my whole entire family. Like addiction is definitely a family affair. I'll say that for
absolutely.
sure.
Like my brother and sister are your age.
Yeah,
and they've
cool dude, man.
I love my brother.
Grew up with him, yeah.
Love my sister for that matter. But they're amazing aunts and uncles, and just through what they've seen through me, like they know that addiction isn't the person in addiction when they're in active addiction. That's not who they necessarily are. But in terms of like having my back, because I do have 2 kids, literally the most understanding people ever, and it is a family affair. You bring them into it just by fucking doing it.
By default.
But in terms of my kids, them being cognizant at this age of what their family members are doing. They're not little kids anymore. They're not babies who are asleep in the next room. Like, there's no more those versions of stories. It is literally, these are young adults that are watching you and picking up on every fucking habit you have and determining whether or not they want to carry that with them. And as their father, I'm the coolest motherfucker in the world to them.
Yeah, dude.
No matter where I am in life or where I'm at, like, they know that daddy doesn't have a lot of the things that their mommy has. Their mom works their fucking ass off. Their mom deserves all the shit she has. Their dad didn't put that much effort into himself.
Right.
So, like, but they don't look at me as that. They look at me because, like, I'm the one who's able to, like, talk to them about their emotional needs. And why do you feel this way? Not stop doing this, it's I don't like it. Like, why are you doing this? And, like, is it the best way to go about it? And I haven't even drank a beer in front of them, ever. They've never even seen me have a beer. Daddy gets dabbed up before bed because I'm
French fried.
Well, because I'm a medical patient, bro.
Okay.
So
Respect.
which is I have epilepsy, which is besides the point. So yes, I do medicate myself.
Yeah, I had narcolepsy. Well, that's at least what I would say.
Right.
I'm
Yeah, exactly.
driving all the time. You could see my car out front.
But with the kids, it's like, yeah, I do have to be the best version of myself for them because they have to, model themselves after something. But at the same time, it's like, no, this is absolutely for me. And I think the best look on my end is having level-headed kids who can look at certain situations and know that, like, that's not who that person is. I say all of this to say that my kids are not dumb, and they know that daddy has, A, done drugs, had a problem with drugs, and is not the best person in the world when he's not being off of drugs.
Right.
But I've sat them down. They don't know things. They just know what an addict is. But the way I worded it to them is daddy was the bad guy for a while.
Right.
He was okay with it. He had no want or need to be the good guy. And, like, a couple years after the kids were born, I realized that, like, I get a lot more out of being the good guy than the bad guy.
Exactly, bro. It's fulfilling. Like, put it this way, it's like the whole being present thing, which I wasn't for so many years. This is, God willing, come Christmas, have like a year. It'll be the first time in 3 or 4 years, I want to say, that I wasn't in some type of treatment facility.
Yeah.
And my little brother, who is 5, Christian, he, asked my family, like, why is Andrew never around? Is he not part of the family anymore? And, like, that grinds you up, man. That hits home because, like, these kids don't know, man. They just see you out doing your thing and blah, 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 and coming as you freely go. And it's like, it's so selfish, and self-centered, and it's crazy.
And they see it. They absolutely see it. And they have questions. And guess what? Those questions aren't being answered by the right people.
Right.
Because the people who need to answer those questions aren't the fucking
It's hard to understand the addict's mind, dude. It really is. So I'll say this, like, I'm happy that if I, keep taking this at a day at a time, and we can end on this, if I keep taking this one day at a time, more will be revealed. And what I'm saying that is like, if someone came to me with a problem, down the road, whether it be my siblings, my cousins, my fucking friends, whatever, coworker, I could show them, like, tell them, like, yo, like, these are my experiences. I've been through that. I felt how you felt. Like, it gets better. So, like, when the time comes, because let's be honest, like, just because when you get sober doesn't mean, like, the world keeps going on, bro. People are still going to do their thing, brother. So what I'm saying is my sister is at the age, like, she's going to experiment with alcohol.
Sure.
But, like, I just let her know, like, like, at one point, if it stops becoming fun, like, deal with it in healthy ways, because, it's hard to articulate for me. But
well, the way that our families knew that it was a possibility, but, like, probably not, or if they have a problem, I'll be there.
I'm the only addict in my family, which is crazy. This is new to them.
I wish I could say that. My family was very, very versed in what addicts do, but still, like, they knew that not every child was going to be perfect, and that they wanted to be there for whatever your problems were.
Right.
And I think it's very naive of us, especially with, daughters and sisters or family members who are at that younger age, to be like, well, at least I'll be there for them. It's a really nice thought, and I really hope that it's that simple.
Right.
But yeah, dude, I really appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
It was definitely a pleasant surprise. Thanks for fucking sharing, dude.
Oh, man. Yes, sir.
Do you know how to say goodbye to the people on this show?
Do svidonye.
Yeah. Now tell them to go fuck themselves, because that's exactly what they deserve.
Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. Now, while you're sitting here, I wanted to show you this, because India dropped this by the other day. This is her teriyaki Sesame.
Yo,
Dude,
that's a good John.
it is a good John.
Teriyaki salmon.
Have a seat and look at this real quick.
Damn.
Because, let me get over here. She dropped it off, dude.
It's in my blood.
I've been putting the hot sauce on my chicken at night, and I put some of that on my steak in the morning. Bro, that's not actually cracked in the morning. I'm having steak tomorrow morning.
This John's hitting.
That is a good-ass John.
Yo, shout out India. Shout out a good John. You mean? Shout out India. Support
Peace.
your small businesses.